Okay.
We are live, y'all. Hello. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. We're just going to give it a moment for people to pop on. As you are popping on, please leave in the comments. Say hello to us so we can see you, greet you, and say hi. Let us know what you're drinking. What are we drinking tonight? Felix, what are you drinking? You look like
I mean, you know, I'm classic. I got the Pinot, and I have a couple shots here. I'm having shots of Fireball.
Oh my gosh, we need to come over and join your party.
Yeah.
I'm having water.
Nice.
Same. Classic.
And I also have this, which I don't know what it is, but my sister poured it for me. But I don't know what it is. So I'm going to try it. I'm going to see if I like it. But look, it's in a fancy glass. Hello, I see there's 2 people on right now. If you're on, please say hello in the comments so we can greet you. Welcome to Wind Down Wednesday. If it's your first time here, welcome. Felix and I are here every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. And we also invite other people on, like we have Leah, who is live from Sydney, Australia, 11 a.m. tomorrow. She is in the future. Leah, say hello from the future to everybody.
Hi, speaking from the future.
It's 7:16 over there.
It's pretty much the same here as there, just so you know. Nothing exciting.
And it's winter there, and it's summer here. How wild is that?
Yeah, you're all in your casual clothes. I'm in my jumper. I got my socks. Got my heater.
I love it. Hey, Tiffany, thanks for hopping on. Yep, as you're hopping on, just say hello. And if you're catching this on the replay, give us a hashtag replay. Again, we're here every Wednesday night. If you're back, welcome back. Raphael should be joining us shortly, so we will have a kiki for him too when he hops back on. But tonight, what are we talking about? Felix, what are we talking about today? Do you have something you might want to...
We're talking about... It's
that we were going to take our space and what happened.
Yeah, and then I got into an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August, an entanglement, an entanglement, an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August, an entanglement, an entanglement, an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August, an entanglement with August,
An entanglement, an entanglement.
an entanglement with August. I got into an entanglement with August,
An entanglement.
with August, with August, with August, an entanglement with August.
Oh my God.
With August,
No,
Entanglement.
with August, with August,
August, August.
hello.
entanglement with August,
Say
an
hello.
entanglement with
Pop up
August,
in the comments. Replay, give us hashtag replay. So if you can't tell by the amazing remix by iMarquise that is playing in the background, tonight we are going to be talking about entanglements. Specifically, the famous entanglement that just got broadcasted live everywhere. So if you've been living under a rock and don't know what I'm talking about, basically August Alsina, famous R&B singer, came out. How long ago was it? Like last week or a few days ago? I don't know.
I say famous-ish. I've never heard of him.
Oh, famous-ish. More famous now, but
Well, he's mad famous right now.
not famous right now. Came out on some interview basically spilling all the tea about how he fell madly in love with Jada and had an entanglement with Jada. An entanglement with Jada. Nadia is here. Hey, Nadia. And then, of course, the internet blew up and had lots of opinions. And then eventually this weekend, Jada brought herself to the red table and was interviewed by Will to basically spill all the tea about it. And I definitely want to go into that. But I know that a big comment that has been made by a lot of people is like, hello, there's a lot more important stuff going on in the world. And so why are we talking about entanglement? Why are we talking about this relationship? Why does this even matter when so many other crazy things are happening, right? And so before we even talk about it, which we are going to, why do you think that is? Like, why are we so obsessed with this stuff that ultimately is none of our business and ultimately doesn't really matter, doesn't really affect us ultimately. Why do you think?
I think we love other people's business. I think we always have. We like to talk, we like to gossip, and we're all sitting here in isolation, right? So what better than to talk about people online doing stuff like we like to anyway?
Yeah. I also find too, generally, like on Wind Down Wednesdays, like when we do talk about romantic relationships, there's something about it that creates a big stir. I mean, we get a lot of engagement on this show anyway, because our audience members are awesome. You're also awesome, jumping in and joining the conversation. But there's a definite different vibe when we talk about romantic relationships that everyone gets really fired up about. But yeah, I agree with you, Leah. It's like we just like being in other people's business. What do you think, Felix?
I think that we like to hold an idea of what perfection looks like, and then we like to kind of dream about it. So when it's not perfect, then I don't know. I think it's a mechanism to make ourselves feel better in a sense. I've as you said, like the fact that they did that, it's kind of like they didn't owe anyone anything, and they still did it. And I think it was more of a like I don't know if it was a PR move or something, but they just wanted to kind of clear the air. And really, it's their business. Like, who cares? I think people rely way too much on external factors to dictate like how they're going to be.
What do you mean by that?
Like you know, like they want like kind of like a mold, kind of like, well, Will and Jada, they seem this way. And even J. Cole says like, I want that Jada and that Will love. We don't know what that's like. You know, we don't know what they went through in order to be where they are.
We kind of know a bit of it, a lot more of it now than we did.
Yeah. and even then, like it's relationships are all about agreements. So whatever they've accepted in their relationship, it's up to them. And you know, we have speculated for a long time that, you know, they're in an open relationship, or they're Scientologists, or they're this or they're that. And ultimately, if they're happy and not hurting anyone, I think that's all that matters.
Yeah, we've got some really good comments on here. Tiffany says, because they have positioned themselves to be such a cards on the table couple. So they've positioned themselves to be really public about their business. But also, yeah, like Felix, like you said, they also didn't owe anyone anything. But I think they would agree with you, Tiffany. I mean, of course, I don't know them personally, but I feel like they would agree because they did ultimately come to the red table and air it all out. So on some level, they're like, yeah, we don't owe anyone anything, but also we kind of do because we've positioned ourselves to be this way. And I think they, I assume or imagine that they hold themselves to that. You know, and in a way, like I'm kind of like that too. Like for anyone that knows me, for anyone that's been following me, I'm pretty transparent and open online. And I'm sure people have perceptions of why I am that transparent, but I'm clear on why I am. The main reason, well, one, I mean, I do like attention. I don't think that's a bad thing, but also I know that my story helps other people. And sharing my story also helps me. So I imagine there's similar reasonings for them. But I don't know if any of y'all know them personally. Feel free to text them and screenshot it and post it here. Kat is in the building and has said something amazing. I think some people obsess about celebrities' lives because it's easier and more exciting than obsessing about our own and working on ourselves. We pretend to hold them to the same standard that we hold ourselves to. Ooh, that's kind of deep. Let's talk about that one. What do y'all think about that one? I'm gonna leave that up. I think for me, like it's not even just with celebrities, like how Leah, you said earlier, like we like to gossip, we like to talk about other people. I think, yeah, it's just easier to speculate and have opinions about other people's lives than it is to really look at your own life and see how you're blowing your own life up or whatever, you know. And it's just, and I think, tell me if I'm getting this right, Kat, but there's a certain point that you made about we pretend to hold them to the same standard we hold ourselves to. That was the part that I was like, ooh, that's deep. And tell me if I'm getting this right, Kat, but how I interpret that is we can talk very openly about our opinions about Will and Jada or any other couple, whether they're famous celebrities or not, and be like, well, people should do this, and this is what morality is. And I find that people argue or speak pretty vehemently about their opinions on those things. But it's like, if you look at their life, it's like, are they holding themselves to that standard? So not necessarily, right? You know, so we pretend to hold people to the same standard we hold ourselves to. That's like really layered and loaded. And I mean, I know I've been guilty of that myself. And I know other people are guilty of it because I see what they post on social media or I hear them say things to other people, but it's like, I know their life because they tell me other things. And it's like I know this couple who I've known them for a long time, and they've been together for like ever, and they totally project this, we're this perfect family, you know, I'm this profession. I don't want to say too much to like reveal who it is, but it's like, you know, the wife is this profession and the husband is this profession, and they have these beautiful children. And I know that one of them had a complete affair and someone got pregnant and there was an abortion and all these things, and the other person doesn't know. And online, it's still like this perfect image. And I would bet that, I have heard them have very strong opinions about other people's relationships. And it's like, what is it? Don't throw stones if you live in a glass house kind of thing. So yeah, that was deep, Kat. What about y'all? What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's there's a comfort that comes with checking others. Like you don't have to deal with your own shit. It's easy to say, well, this is what a marriage should look like. Like that's like, I would never allow that. Like even Will saying, you know, I'm gonna get you back for this. It's like, well, you have no idea what the foundation of their marriage is. Like, and the thing is, it's none of our business. Like, but I keep saying that, but like, and like, I know like they're this open, this honest, this whole like, but again, like that's something that we see. Like underneath, there can be so much more, right? And we have to understand that we all mess up, so it's just a lot easier, and it takes away the responsibility of you having to do any inner work to like be like, well, this person is this person is, well, but what about yourself? Like that's why I haven't even, since I saw the video, I don't even like, I'm not even thinking up until now where we're having this conversation, like it's not even, I'm no longer like looking to even be with it because it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, I don't know if y'all can hear the ice cream truck in the background, but anyway, I'm gonna mute. Yeah, go ahead, Leah.
Yeah, just perfectionism, I think, is another part. It's this idea, I think people connect when they see other people muck up or do something outside the norm, because it's like a sigh of relief. Like, oh, okay, they're not perfect. Everything that we see online, everything, this persona that they've built up about themselves, it makes them more human. It brings them back to a human level rather than this kind of superhuman. And celebrities, I think that's where they get so much connection online in general, is that idea that they are bringing you into their everyday life. And I think with that comes that responsibility that then people are going to want to know more and more about their lives. So I think they're kind of signing up for that type of relationship with their audience in that way. if they decide to share that much.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think yes, that there's absolutely like the sigh of the relief moment of like, oh good, so like I don't have to be perfect either. But I think also there's kind of the mob mentality of like, well, they should, kind of like what Kat was talking about of like, well, they should be a certain way. And actually, yeah, she added some more clarity. Yes, everyone and their cousin has advice on what they should have done or what they should be like, but do they look at their own life with that much of a microscope and with the same standards? No, I know this. I'd be out of business if people all looked at their life with the same microscope that they look at celebrities. Tiffany saying how people portray themselves on social media is usually not true. Agreed.
It's not true. Not even usually. It's not.
It's not. I mean, you're not going to show like every single thing.
And like, I think it's just, you can't expect that. Like, there's just so much time that I spend off social media that you're not gonna see. I pick what you see, so like I curate who you see. So I don't even want you to trust that. I don't even want you to like believe for a moment that I'm like that all the time, because that's insane. I can't sustain that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Andrea's in the building. Hey, Andrea.
Andrea, love Andrea.
Hey, Laura. Lots of people are on. As you're popping on, please say hello. And if you're catching this replay, give us a hashtag replay. Yeah, Kat saying, I think that's why reality TV was such a hit and is still popular. People like getting lost in other people's lives for that reason, meaning they don't want to look at their own lives, and so much more. Shamik says, I have the most fabulous life on social media. You know, it's funny. I definitely don't put everything on social media, but I would say what you see on social media is me. I don't know. Y'all can tell me because y'all are my friends, but like I put bad stuff on there too. I don't put everything. Like I'm not going to like be naked or put like all my secrets out there, but I don't just put like travel photos of like.
Yeah, but I think that's the same with personal relationships. Like you have a different relationship with different people. So it doesn't mean you're hiding a certain part of yourself, but with your partner, you may be a certain way and share certain qualities, and which are different than to maybe your mum or your peers or people you work with. So your social media presence is another side of your personality. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Yeah. But as long as people understand that that's not all of you, that isn't everything about you isn't on there. So there are other aspects.
Yeah. Shamik agrees. Girl, you put it out. I put out. That's funny. You totally put it out there. Thank you. Yeah, I think so. I mean, for me, I just feel like I want people to see more of a whole spectrum. But yeah, it's not everything. And I like that thinking, Leo. It's just another side of your personality. And again, everyone gets to choose how they social media. But like Tiffany said earlier about Will and Jada, where did she say it? They basically chose to be that kind of couple here. They positioned themselves to be such a
position themselves. And like, come on, let's talk about it. Like, yo, just be real. You know what I'm saying? Like, just say it. And like, Will Smith's like an entanglement. Really, we're gonna do that? Like, you're gonna like tiptoe around with words? Like, just be real, right? Like, you were in a relationship. That's fine. Like, they were going through shit. And the thing about it was that what I believe, like what I took out of it was that Jada was unhappy. She wasn't feeling good, and she needed to feel good. And that's a very like common thing in marriages. There's something like more than 50% of marriages end up in divorce, and it's just very rare after 25 years. And the thing we have to understand Will Smith. Like, Will Smith is this crazy millionaire superstar. And like he had this vision of like, this is like, I want everything to be perfect. And he was alienating his children. He was alienating. So he had all this, and the thing is, like, he also had his own. He's like, she was like, you already got me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and he was like, yeah, you're right. Again, I'm gonna do it again. Like, that's what he meant, though. Like, I'm gonna do it again, though.
Like, I'm gonna get you back. Shamika's saying, open relationships are so common in the gay world. We are like the straight people. We're just catching up. Who's like the straight people? I am a straight person. Am I like the straight people? I don't know. But yeah, I mean, definitely, I think I've definitely been hearing a lot more about open relationships and polyamory more and more, like exponentially more in recent years. And it's just interesting how we've created this culture where there are these unspoken rules that we're all supposed to know. Megan, hey Megan, that we're all supposed to know and follow. But I believe, you know, and actually one of the topics I wanted to talk about was relationship agreements, which you brought it up, Felix, so I'm glad you brought it up. Because every relationship is an agreement. And I even take that a step back to say, I say this all the time to people, especially, you know, when I'm working with my singles, my single clients, and we're working on their dating and relationships. I'm like, anytime that you engage with someone or you choose to engage with someone more than once or like regularly, that's a relationship. You know, because we get stuck with all this, like, and I sent Leah this article. I forget who wrote the article, but it's like we get stuck in like, oh, well, we're talking, well, we're hooking up, well, we're dating, well, we're married, well, we're partners. Like, there's all these terms, and it's like, it's a relationship, you know, like. But for some reason, like almost like saying something's a relationship is like a dirty word, because it's like, no, it's not a relationship. We're just talking. And it's like, if you choose to engage with someone more than once, and it's like a conscious choice or unconscious choice, it's a relationship, you know? And so I say that all the time because, especially like when I'm working with my singles, they're like, well, you know, we just kind of matched on Bumble and we're just, you know, and I'm like, yeah, you're in a relationship. Yeah. It might not be the relationship you want. The agreements might not be the agreements you want, but you're in a relationship, and whether you know it or not, there are a set of agreements that you have agreed to, right? Yeah. Or like one of the things that I work with a lot is like people that engage in casual sex, which I'm not like, I'm, you know me, I'm sex positive. Have sex, do whatever you want. But what I'm saying is people engage in casual sex when they don't actually want to, because they actually want a relationship. So they're engaging in the sex as like a backdoor way, haha, pun intended, to like somehow convince the person, like, okay, like love me enough to be in a relationship. And it's just like, you're agreeing to the casual sex and then like getting upset at why haven't they fallen in love with me yet? I've been having sex with them. And it's like, well, there's an unspoken agreement there. So agreements are happening whether you are conscious of them or not. And if you've engaged with someone, Shamika's saying, isn't that a situationship? Sure. But when I call it a relationship, that just kind of helps to like solidify. So it's like, what are the agreements that you're agreeing to? What is really happening here? But I am a fan of the word situationship, so thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, no, it's as Amelia said, it's all a relationship. You are talking to someone, it's a relationship, right? Whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's a friendship, whether it's whatever you guys choose to. And just like you said, right, you don't, sometimes the agreement is not verbal. Just by you coming to someone's home or like coming to, I don't know, the park, just like you like hanging out, that's an agreement. That's saying, I'm willing to accept this, right? Why are you laughing?
I'm just thinking of a personal story.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, but I'm saying like you agree with more than just your words.
Yeah, Andrea's saying potato, exactly. And then maybe
how does that?
Because it's like situationship, relationship. We're talking, we're vicinitizing, where it's potato.
Like me and Andrea have a relationship.
Yes.
Like, you know,
me and Andrea have a relationship as well. We're all in a relationship.
We're all in a relationship right now. It's all we relate, and we're in the same ship. Relationship.
Megan is saying, hey, Megan, so good to see you here. Entanglement is the word of 2020. Y'all, so I was saying Jada made one of my deceptions famous. So for those of you that don't know, a big foundational part of my work in dating and relationships and also in career and business are the 5 deceptions that I've developed that are keeping you from the life that you dream about or the partnership that you want. And deception number 3 is energetic entanglement with the past. And then Jada comes in talking about entanglement, and now entanglement is everywhere. But you know what? I'm going to ride that. I'm going to ride those coattails, and I'm going to be like, yeah, entanglement is the word of 2020. Energetic entanglement in the past. Megan, you know all about that. About that deception. I mean, like, you know all about that, like putting your business out there.
Damn.
That's not what I meant.
Megan, we got a red table for you.
Dude, Mercury retrograde is still in post-shadow, and post-shadow has been worse than the actual retrograde. Like, my words are all just messed up. My technology is messed up. Anyway, Shamik is asking, did Will and Jada break barriers? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I think this next question, did they set new norms? I mean, I don't know. I honestly never really followed them as like a fangirl of their relationship. I never really saw them as like, oh my God, I wish I had that Will and Jada love. So I don't know.
I just think I'm sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think for people, it had like that haven't, because I mean, I've been thinking about relationships and different relationship dynamics my whole life. That's why it's a big part of the work that I do, because I'm like obsessed with relationships. So for me, it's like, it's not breaking barriers or a new norm, but from what I've observed is that this whole situation has made a lot of people think about what is going on.
Well, you gotta look at it from different angles, right? Like, men have had entanglements since the beginning of time, and women have excused those entanglements and stayed with them. If you look at it, it's no. I'm sorry.
And vice versa. It's not just men and women.
Yeah, and it's like, it's no different. He's just like, yo, I'm gonna love you and I'm gonna support you no matter what. What happened. It was 4 years ago. And here's the thing, like, they also got away with saying a lot of words, but not really defining any. They actually like left us with more questions than answers. And listen, it's really up to them what they want to give. I think the fallacy is kind of like holding on to this like idea of what a relationship should look like outside of yourself, and figuring out what it is for you. Like, define it for yourself. Like, I think so much of us, and this is what I was talking about, we're looking for an external validation of what it should look like. And really what it should look like is whatever works for you. Yeah. Right? Whatever works for you, because you have to understand and like accept that there is polyamory. There is, harems and like, multiple wives and multiple husbands, and there's everything. There must be space for everything. And everything's, as long as it doesn't, August got hurt. But also, like, let's look at that. Like,
can we talk about that? Because honestly,
yeah, that's the thing I want to talk about.
Yeah.
August is not a victim.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, we could talk about it. Like, I just put it. I let's start this conversation. Yeah. I just put that in there. You let me know what you think about that.
Well, okay, so August is not a victim. Yes and no, I think I'm going to say. Yeah. And Lee, I want to hear what you have to say, but like, because the part that got me from the Red Table Talk was that he had come to them for support with his health. And then like, didn't go into details, so I don't know the details. But August is younger and in a vulnerable position. And just like we talk about it with men and women, like, this is not about gender. This is about someone in a position of power and authority to some extent taking advantage, because like,
yeah,
I don't know how I would feel engaging in sexual activities with a younger person or with anyone who was coming to me for help with something that sounded pretty heavy and deep, to the point that the whole Smith family was all hands on deck for him. See, because it's one thing where it's like, we went through some shit and then we got close and then we got it on, whatever. But it sounded like it was pretty heavy. So that part is kind of shady. But also, I do feel that Jada did admit, I was codependent. I was hurt and I just wanted to feel good. I mean, that's real. I did respect how she admitted that, because that's real to admit, where it's like, she basically admitted that she used him to feel good, essentially. Leah, what comes up for you? I just want all your things.
I think the bit that I found really uncomfortable was the way she admitted it, because to me it didn't seem apologetic or like, this is something I did and I hurt someone in the process. It did seem very self-serving still. Like, I needed that. I needed to heal my inner child and the wounds from my past. But I do that by helping people. So I helped him by jumping into bed with him.
Oh, that's right. I remember that part. And as you say that, I did cringe at that part too, because there was something very like, yeah, well, that's what I did. Yeah. Yeah. No, but go ahead.
Well, I mean, of course, we all make mistakes and we phrase things certain ways and we do things we feel a way about. But it didn't seem like there was any kind of remorse or feeling like she'd done something wrong in having that exploration through using him, if you want to call it.
And even like with the whole entanglement piece, and she was like, that's what I said. And like, I feel like, and it's funny, because sometimes my experience of Will Smith is it's a little like performative, like even in his most vulnerable videos, like the ones that everyone keeps reposting. I'm always like, I don't know, like, I mean, I'm a fan of Will Smith, like since I was young, you know, but like, it's still, he still feels a little performative and inauthentic to me. But I felt that in this episode, he just was raw and real, and he's like, an entanglement, you know, like, let's just keep it real, you know. And I was watching like The View kind of discussing it as well for like a couple minutes, and they were saying like, oh, he looked really sad, and like, I thought that like they were over it because it happened so long ago, but he looked really sad. And for me, I think he was just annoyed that he even had to like have this whole conversation or whatever. So yeah, I'm glad you said that though, Leah, because I remember there were some moments with the way that she was saying things that I was just like, oh, you don't care. Because like in August's interview, he was still like so distraught. And for her, she was just like, I mean, yeah, but you know, I needed what I needed. Yeah, what were you gonna say, Leah?
Yeah, just basically what you just said. And it's obviously a traumatic experience in a way for him still. So it's just interesting, I think, would we have reacted the same way without kind of moving into genders? But if it was the other way around and a man came out and said that about a young woman who'd come to him vulnerable, again, we're going off what we're hearing from them in their conversation. We don't know the details, but he's mentally unwell is what they're saying. He comes to them in a place of real mental disease, and it turns into a sexual relationship of some kind. How does that fit with you? I don't know. It makes me feel uncomfortable.
It definitely makes me feel uncomfortable.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I didn't even like see it that way.
Yeah, like if it was, I don't know, Ariana Grande and some older dude. Megan is saying, I never looked at Will and Jada as relationship goals, but that's why people should be careful about idolizing other people's relationships, because you don't know what's really going on. Felix was already basically saying that as I was typing, but I still wanted to say it. Damn right.
Hell yeah, and you get to say
voice
it.
Matters.
And I love that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I think people are like, you know, the whole hashtag couple goals thing. And I'm always like, but you don't actually know what's going on. Like, you're saying couple goals, but
yeah, because we see this like picture perfect Instagram hashtag goals. Like, all you see is a sweet shit, but like there's work.
Yeah.
it has to do, because relationships will teach you about yourself.
Yeah.
It's like a master class in yourself.
Oh, absolutely. I love that. Megan's like, I want to know who Will got Jada back with. Yo, I saw a meme that was like,
It's a Margot Robbie.
So Will was single for a hot minute and I missed that. It was so, oh, it wasn't a meme. It was like a comment on the video. Andrew's saying, I really give them credit for addressing their ish out and allowing the world to witness it. Absolutely, 100%. You know, I think for me, as much as I felt cringy at some moments, or people were like, oh, Will still looks sad, like whatever. We're all just making speculations at this point because, again, like Kat said, we like to look at other people's lives and not our own. And Leah, you said, well, a lot of people said it. But they brought themselves to the table, which I think is good. And I feel on some level they knew, well, one, even just with the brand of Red Table Talk, it's like, well, we're going to be real, let's be real. So it's like on brand, but also, like I said, I think they have self-selected themselves as people to be that example for others. And like I said, in a lot of ways, like for me, I have self-selected myself in a way to do that. And like, I put a lot of stuff out there that now the stuff I put out there about myself is like so normal to me that when people are like, damn girl, I'm like, oh, I don't know. Yeah. My family, the public. Tiffany is saying that's the problem. For the most part, people just want the instant gratification, and that is all that matters. And Andrea is giving us a hashtag work.
Hashtag work.
So, definitely keep bringing this up, you know, the Will, Jada, August stuff. But I wanted to kind of talk about how, for me, you know, I'm all into astrology, and to me, what I noticed was that, you know, this video came out around the time that Chiron has gone retrograde. So Chiron went retrograde on July 11th, so about 4 days ago, and it will be in retrograde until December 15th. Anyway, as I've mentioned on the Mercury retrograde videos, anytime that a planet is in retrograde, I always say, remember the RE from retrograde, because retrograde is essentially means it's an opportunity to reflect, reassess, and recalibrate in that area. So that area that the planet rules, the area of the sign that the planet is retrograde in. So if y'all want to do your own research about that, have at it. I know I have. And so Chiron is the wounded healer. And essentially the energy of Chiron is like one of the foundational essences of it is it's like wherever Chiron is, it's like we heal through like our deepest woundings kind of thing. It's like our deepest woundings lead to our healing. And also as we heal our deepest core wounds, we also heal others. So it's like the wounded healer, right? And so like for me, my natal Chiron is in the house of career. And any of you that know me know that I have a lot of like ups and downs with career and just essentially healing through my core wounding of not having my passions and what I really wanted to do when I was a child growing up be supported. And so I kind of like fell into the norm and did the cookie cutter thing and went to college and worked on Wall Street and, you know, got a degree and did the thing that you're supposed to do, but was so out of integrity and out of alignment with who I actually am as a person. And so a big, big part of my life lessons, because my Chiron is in the house of career, is healing that wound by, you know, through various ways, but like essentially for me by finding like my true path, but also there naturally could tend to be a lot more bumps in the road for me in the realm of career. Whereas other people are like, yep, this is what I wanted to be when I grew up and this is what I knew. And then I'm it. And this is what I'm doing for like 50 years till I die, you know? So for me, it's a big wounding there. And so basically Chiron being in retrograde right now is giving us all an opportunity to really look at our emotions, our woundings that we avoid. So it's interesting to me the timing that this all came out, because this whole love triangle really was about healing a lot of core woundings, I think, for all three of them. And ultimately, it's activating that in all of us because we're talking about it, right? So as I talk about that, what kind of comes up for either of you?
Healing. It's a big subject to jump to.
I know.
I guess on a global level, I keep coming back to this at the moment, is just the pandemic. I keep thinking how this is our chance to heal as a society, a global society, and look at the ways that we're doing things and that haven't been working. And one thing I'm worried about is that we're going back to business as usual for the sake of the economy, without really looking at the deep issues that have caused us to get to this point. And I think we're talking about second wave, second spike now. So like, what are we going to do? What are we actually going to do to address what's underneath? Not this surface stuff, not just putting signs up saying walk this way, wear a mask, stay this far away, but what's actually happened that's brought us to this point, and are we going to address it globally?
Yeah. I have the same question. Anyone in the audience knows the answer to that? You know, no pressure, but give us the answers. Kat, thank you so much. Kat is saying Amelia is my favorite person to read from during retrogrades because she emphasizes how to use them to grow awareness instead of panicking and feeling disempowered. So thank you for saying that. It's absolutely true, and kind of one of the main topics I wanted to bring to today's episode is because retrograde is often like, oh my gosh, everything's fucked, like we're screwed, and people are just afraid of it, when it's like, no, it's about reflecting, reassessing, and recalibrating. And I think we actually talked about this earlier on Quarantine Cafe, where it's like we don't want to do that work. We want to just keep going and keep being in action, or at least we're trained to be that way, because we're trained to like only think that our self-worth is directly related to like how much we're producing and how much we're creating, kind of like that summer go action. And we haven't been taught, or as a society, or we don't believe as a society that to like actually, no, we need rest, we need reflection, we need a moment to pause and reassess things before we move forward. Yeah, Andrea's saying retrograde has a bad rep, but honestly, like, well, let me not say I love retrogrades, because I don't know that I would say I love retrogrades, but I'm learning to use them, because if they're going to be here and I can't control it and I can't not have them, then I'm going to use them, right? And so while right now a lot of you might be feeling really uncomfortable because Chiron is in retrograde, yes, intentional healing. And so all your shit's probably coming up. I've actually seen it as a theme, like on my social media, where everyone's like, what the heck is, my emotions are everywhere. But like, yeah, Chiron's like, oh, you want to ignore those core woundings? Well, we're going to talk about them. And, you know, maybe with like Will and Jada and August, like, you know, like when they first started out in that episode, they were kind of like, well, it happened so long ago. And there was kind of like a dismissive, I felt, about it, where it's like, well, it was so long ago, so I can't believe we're even talking about this. And it's like, can you really not? Because it doesn't feel like, based on the emotions I'm feeling, it doesn't feel like it's so yesteryear. And also 4 years is long, but also not. And what she was saying, they hooked up 4 years ago and they were kind of in this situationship, right? Shamik, for 2 years, that means it really only ended a year ago. You know what I mean? So not that long ago. And it sounds like there was some healing inner wounds that they needed to bring up, because it just blew up everywhere.
So, you know, I think what's coming up for me is you said something about like feeling the need to have to produce all the time. And sometimes we can get into this idea of this thought process of like this individualistic, like I have to create, you know, or I have to do this, where it's like, well, no, it's not just you creating, because you're not just creating for the hell of it. There's the intention is to connect with a collective, or to connect with other people, or to connect with a community. That way you can serve. So like getting away from that individualistic kind of thinking where it's like, I have to do this, and thinking about, well, who are the people that I'm serving? Like, who do I want to be connected to? And yeah, like taking away that whole like me thing, like that whole ego thing, like I have to create. Like that's not, it's ultimately it doesn't serve, and it actually drains more than anything. So that's what came up for me when you were saying that.
Yeah, it's interesting you say to get away from the individualistic, because especially American United States society isn't like the individual, praising the individual is a very United States thing. Yeah. Whereas there's so many other places that focus on the community or the tribe, which I don't like using that word because I feel like I am appropriating when I use that word. Yeah, I think all this dirty laundry, or whatever you want to call it, being aired out is making us think, obviously, and it's showing a couple or individuals also in the public eye that are doing their Chiron work in front of everyone. But for me, like, I always like to bring it back to something tangible like a teachable moment. And so it's an opportunity for all of us to do our Chiron work. And those emotions, those inner wounds will not be ignored. So don't ignore them. And like Andrea says, flow with the retrograde versus fighting it. And another hashtag work. For a couple of minutes before we kind of wrap up, I do want to talk more about like relationship agreements. And I'm curious from each of you, and I'll share myself too, and anyone in the audience who wants to share. What do relationship agreements mean to you? Like, are you of the school of thought where it's like, nope, it's monogamous and it's, a man and a woman, or a man and a man, or a woman and a woman, or whatever combination, like, or it's this, and this is how relationships are, and you don't cheat on them, and you don't give your phone number to someone of the opposite sex. I mean, there's all kinds of rules and agreements that I've seen out there. So I was curious, like, for each of you, and again, anyone in the audience, hey, Jake, who wants to share, what has been your journey with relationship agreements? Like, what did you believe growing up, and like, has it changed from what you believe now, and how did you kind of get there?
Oh, absolutely, it's changed.
It's a big question. I love it.
It is a huge question to wrap up in a few minutes. But yeah, I think we have a set of beliefs that we're given from people around us, society, parents, etc., as we grow up. And I very much wanted to get married, have babies. That was like the journey. I had a dream idea for my wedding. And over the last couple of years, I've just that's really shifted. I don't have a goal to get married. I think if I found a person and we decided to create that together, that to me that's what's sacred in a marriage. It's not the idea of this big dream wedding that we have. So I've kind of deconstructed that idea for myself of what it means to want to marry somebody. As far as what a relationship should look like, I think it's open to interpretation, and I'm also open to see what that means. Sometimes I feel that as a society, we put these pressures on other people all the time to define what it is. Oh, why haven't you introduced them to your parents yet? Why, there's all these stages. There's always another pressure. And so you have to check yourself and go, is that something that I actually believe, or is that what everyone around me is telling me I should believe? So I think I'll just reflect on that every time something comes up. And as far as cheating goes, I kind of believe it's natural that we want to have multiple partners. I don't necessarily believe that there's one person that you can be with forever. Maybe it's because I haven't found that person yet. Wherever that's coming from, that's fine to me. But to me, it's all trust. So yeah, if you have those feelings and inclinations and you can't share it with your partner, that to me is way more the problem than the actual act of wanting and having desires for somebody else.
That's deep. I love that. Felix, how about you? What's your journey been like with relationship agreements?
my journey has been all over the place, and throughout my years, I've grown and I've learned and I've built on my knowledge to be where I am now. Like I cheated. I've been cheated on, and at some point in my life, I didn't think that I could be with one person alone. I was so hurt, and at some point, afterwards, I did find that I can actually commit to one person. And right now, right now, I'm not even like looking for anything, right? I'm not seeking a relationship. I'm just looking to be as just clear, like as clear as possible myself as I can be, so I can attract whoever comes into my space. But I'm not looking for it. I'm not needing it. I'm just like going about and just being and just building on myself. I believe a relationship is two individuals that are having a journey within a relationship. So, it's not about ownership. It's not about like getting to know someone and then holding them to that, right? I believe that as we grow, we are discovering part of ourselves that we didn't know. So in a sense, like, I like to not know these parts about you that you're discovering and getting to learn them. If there's ever a need to cheat, I think that, that's just something I can't control. So like, all I can do is be the best me. And ultimately what people do is not about you in any way. At least that's what I believe. You don't have to co-sign to that.
Yeah, it was interesting. Like even the word cheat, as you both mentioned the word cheat, it made me think of this concept of like, why is that even a thing? Because it's like implying that another person has ownership over your sex or over your body in some way. And so it's an interesting concept. And I actually, to kind of even go further with that, I love what Tiffany says here. A relationship agreement is both partners being totally honest, and as they grow, staying honest with their emotions. Something, yes, claiming to have soon, you go have it. But like, it's like, I see a scenario where a monogamous relationship gets together, two people in a monogamous relationship, and they agree to have that monogamous relationship. And like Tiffany's saying, as they grow, there could be a desire or a curiosity about opening like not being monogamous and exploring other partners, but still wanting to be a partner with this person. And it's like, that's like radical for a lot of people. And it immediately, a lot of people are programmed to be like, no, like that's wrong, that's evil, that's immoral. When it's, but why? If all the parties in the partnership are honest and agree, and again, this is about the relationship agreements, then like, who are we to say that it's wrong? Like, if they're cool with it, they're cool. We don't have any say in whatever it is. And I think with Will and Jada, they absolutely have an agreement that we are ride or die, bad marriage for life, no matter what. And it's like Will was holding to that. I believe, from my perception, Will was the one that made that agreement for himself and was holding to that. And Jada was going to do what she was going to do, and she was going to do what he was going to do. And they chose to get back together and to stay together and be together for life. Like, this is a choice that they made. And it reminds me also of like with my last relationship. So like, I was so for him, like he was my boyfriend, whether he knew it or not, like I chose him. Right. And this was still in the beginning of our relationship. And, before I met him, I was dating. So I was dating other people. But when I met him, I was like, nope, okay, you're it. And I chose him. And I had no idea what his situation was, because I also don't believe in that whole let's tell each other, everyone that we've slept with kind of thing. Like, I'm just like, why. So I didn't ask him what he was like, if he was dating anyone else or anything like that. I didn't ask him about his past or whatever, but I chose that he was my boyfriend. Like, I was like, he's my boyfriend to me. And that was an agreement that I had for myself. And to me, it didn't matter what he was doing, other than, like, obviously if I wanted him to, like, for my health purposes. So, you know, we of course had those responsible conversations. So there was nothing going on there. But for me, emotionally, I was just like, I've chosen. So it was a great experience for me to have, because I trusted myself so much that I would be okay with whatever he chose. Because he could have easily been like, you know what, not feeling this. And I was like, well, I guess you're not my boyfriend anymore. But in my mind, you are, you know, and ultimately, you know, it did work out for me. We were in a beautiful relationship for almost 5 years. And it's funny because when I told him that, like, I was like, nope, you were my boyfriend from like day one kind of thing. He was like, wow, really? And like, I didn't feel pressured at all. And I'm like, yeah, because it didn't matter. I didn't need to control you to be a certain way for me to be happy. Like, I chose my happiness. And that was the agreement that I was okay with. And yeah. So anyway, that's my evolution. And also, not to go into all the details, but bottom line, my evolution is, Leah, what you said, where it's like, anytime there's something that comes up relationship wise, I ask myself, wait, is this what I actually believe and want? Or is this what I think I'm supposed to believe and want, right? And I've really been like, the idea of marriage and all of, I mean, I know I definitely want children, but like with marriage, it's almost like, it's like, do I want, like, a lot of people want a wedding, but they don't want a marriage. So it's like, I want a wedding, you know, which anyway, I could say so much more about that, but I hope that this gives you all watching a lot of food for thought. Thank you, Felix and Leah, for joining and co-hosting this evening. Thank you all for watching and joining. As you know, we're here every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, Thursday morning, 11 a.m. Sydney. Thank you, Leah, for joining us on your brunch hour as we're here on our wind down hour. And thank you all for joining the conversation. I think it's been really, really great. And yeah, do either of you want to say something just to say goodbye to everybody as we wrap?
There's just been some really beautiful comments in there. I love what Kat just said at the bottom there. I love you. I love when they don't know they're your boyfriend yet. So great. Thank you for having me. It's been great.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank you for it. It was great. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week on Wind On Wednesday. Bye.